At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Philadelphia Phillies. Tuesday night baseball is courtesy of FiOS by Verizon. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by FiOS, the best way to watch your Mets all season long. Get the 100% fiber optic network. Visit getfios.com. By Tri-Acura. Visit your local Tri-Acura dealer or online at triacuradealers.com. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. And by your Tri-State Audi dealers, take a test drive today. New York City, city of parks. Central Park, Bryant Park, Washington Square Park, the ballpark. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets play Game 3 of their 4-game series with the Phillies after the two teams split a doubleheader yesterday. The Phillies come into the day tied for first place in the National League East. When you watch this Phillies team, Keith, do you get the impression that they have the staying power to be in all year?
Well, I tell you what, it's difficult to make a judgment so early in the season. We've only played them a couple series. I do feel that they are challenged offensively. You've got two surprise teams in this division. They're both on top, Atlanta and Philly, and they're exact opposites. I love the starting pitching for the Phillies. I think that's what's carried them here. And the Braves, I love their lineup, and I think the Braves may be challenged pitching-wise. So they're the two guys that are on top of the heap. They both got 50 wins. No one would have ever dreamed that this close to the All-Star break. Phillies don't have a 300 hitter, don't have a lot of power, but they're getting it done.
Both the Mets and Phillies hang their hat on their starting pitching, but both teams today are reaching into the well, dipping in for first-time starters.
Well, when we think about the Mets, Drew Gagnon is pitching today in AAA, was only 1-4, ERA 4.5 in Las Vegas. An 11th round pick 7 years ago for the Milwaukee Brewers. He gets his chance tonight.
Meanwhile, Enyel De Los Santos, a younger pitcher, just 22, goes for the Phils.
Well, much younger, 6 years younger, much a bigger prospect. They traded for him. Galvis went to San Diego. De Los Santos came here to the Philadelphia Phillies. He is supposed to have middle of the rotation stuff.
First time the Mets have had two first-time starters in a game since Jacob deGrom made his debut 4 years ago. Mets and the Phils at Citi Field. All the action on SNY. At 4:10 p.m., the first 25,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets reversible rally cap, courtesy of M&M's. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by the Bullpen Jackpot Sweepstakes from the New York Lottery. Go to SNY.TV/New York Lottery to enter. By Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. And by Citi, preferred card of the New York Mets. There are no fees on any Mets tickets now through Thursday, July 12th. This limited time offer applies to all remaining regular season home games in 2018, including the Syndergaard Thor bobblehead game on Saturday, August 4th. To purchase tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Drew Gagnon, big league debut. First pitch coming up.
You guys. I go home.
City Field, and a very exciting moment for that young man. Drew Gagnon, who was drafted in 2011, 8 minor league seasons, finally gets the ball on a big league mound.
Yeah, 3rd round pick. I think I said 11th round. That's his fiance, already emotional in tears. That's what happens, folks, for the family of these young men when they've been in the minor leagues for over 800 innings for Mr. Gagnon.
That's his fiance, Gail, getting ready to see something that she and he have been waiting a long time for.
In the Big Apple, too.
There's the Phillies starting lineup. Phillies sitting atop the National League East, tied with the Atlanta Braves. They didn't do much scoring in the doubleheader yesterday. They relied on Aaron Nola to drive in all 3 of their runs in the nightcap.
24 strikeouts by both teams and 4 hits. Here's the Toyota numbers in AA and AAA for Gagnon this year. From Pleasanton, California, which is about 20 miles northeast of Oakland.
Yes. Oh, and there is the Lexus Mets defense. Mesoraco back behind the dish with Frazier on the second visit to the DL. Jose getting some playing time at third base. Wilmer, our hero, at first. Outfield. Ty Kelly, a start tonight. Conforto. Little rest, a step aside. Kelly will still get the start in left.
Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I think that was enough.
Let's go. Play ball.
Drew Gagnon, who started his pro career in the Milwaukee organization, then briefly with the Angels, and signed by the Mets as a minor league free agent. And the Mets pressing him into service tonight to face the Phillies.
What are you going to see if he's on? Throws his fastball between 90 and 93. His changeup is his real plus pitch.
Parents are ready to record the moment. Reyes in on the grass against Cesar Hernandez. First pitch is outside and we're underway. Drew Gagnon, who played at Long Beach State, same school where his mom ran track back in her college days. Fastball in for a strike to Hernandez, 1-1. 17 starts at Vegas this year. 1-4, 4.67 ERA. Fewer hits than innings pitched, which is pretty good at Vegas. And there's his changeup to get him ahead on Hernandez, 1-2.
Beautiful pitch, 10-mile-an-hour difference between the fastball and the change. Outstanding.
Good sink, good location.
1-2 coming. Right back to the changeup, and it's 2-2 to Hernandez, who was 2 for 8 in the doubleheader yesterday.
Drew's trying to catch a breath, but it's almost like he's hyperventilating out there.
Doesn't help that it's very humid tonight. 90 degrees at game time. And he strikes him out with a changeup. Drew Gagnon strikes out the first man he faces in the major leagues.
How about that?
3 changeups in a row. That one perfect. The grip deep in his hand. That's why the speed differential is so slow. We've seen what Syndergaard throws his changeup 92. This young man 81.
So about a 10-mile-an-hour separation between his fastball and his changeup, and they're going to authenticate that ball. First big league strikeout. Put it on the shelf. Here's Reese Hoskins fouling off a fastball. Hoskins 1 for 9 in the doubleheader yesterday.
Yeah, he did not look good at the dish last night at all. A little sluggish bat.
I wish they had kept the ball in my day. I would have loved to have had that first ball, first strikeout, right?
And the curveball in for a strike to get to Hoskins, 0-2.
Do you have the ball from your first hit?
Yes. You don't have your first strikeout?
No.
You have your first win?
Nope.
No.
Really?
Really?
John Stearns took the ball.
Hoskins gets ahead of that and fouls it off.
Yes.
What happens for especially a guy when his not main pitch but his out pitch is his changeup? He'll start with the grip to keep that big fat glove open so he doesn't give it away to the hitters, and he'll change from there. Kind of a Vulcan grip almost. The fingers separated.
He's digging in there for the fastball.
94 from Gagnon. That's the hardest we've seen so far. Gagnon is the 7th different Met pitcher to make his major league debut this year.
They've used 12 total, right?
And he's been waiting a long time, not just in terms of years in the minors, as that change misses high and it's 2-2, but he got to AAA for the first time in 2015. So this is his 4th year pitching in AAA, where you're always hoping for that call, and it never came until this week. 2-2 coming, and a little tapper back to Gagnon. Runs half the distance, tosses the rest. 2 out.
2 outs in this game, both on changeups. He's got a good one.
Well, that was the scouting report that we heard. Throws strikes with his fastball, and his best secondary pitch is his changeup, and we've seen that so far. Now Odubel Herrera Herrera played the opener yesterday, went 0 for 5, never got into game 2.
Herrera looked a little bit at sea yesterday in that first game.
Herrera hitting at .276, 15 home runs. Had a stretch last month where he hit home runs in 5 straight games, but it's been a year of fits and starts for him.
You know what's interesting to me about Herrera? I would find it almost impossible to have a scouting report on him, because when he's hot, he hits everything, and when he's not, you can do whatever you want to do to him.
2-1 to Herrera, with Carlos Santana hoping for a turn next.
You notice he's having a little trouble figuring out when to put that front leg down. On the fastball, he's been late, and on the changeup, he was too early.
He's got that big leg swing that he's got to execute, bringing it around.
Yes, he's loosey-goosey. That's I'm being kind. He's just a real loose cannon in every aspect of his game. And like Ronnie said, what makes him dangerous is that he's swinging, and he is a hacker, a cut and slasher.
Gagno behind for the first time, but he gets Herrera to pop one up. Reyes coming in on the grass, and that retires the side. And now Drew Gagno and his family can catch their breath. 1-2-3 inning in his first big league outing. Fordo, Dominic Smith on the bench as well. Ty Kelly playing left field. As the Mets go up against the Phillies' first-time starter, Enyel De Los Santos.
And he is really just the opposite of Gagno. He has flown through the minor league system. Those are Land Rover numbers. That 1.89 ERA led AAA baseball. De Los Santos throws hard, good hard slider.
Brandon Nimmo leads off. Nimmo 1 for 7 in the doubleheader yesterday, just 3 for 17 on this homestand. And De Los Santos' first big league pitch is outside for ball 1. Nimmo, Bautista, and Cabrera try and get it started for the Mets. I think you'd have to say that the Phillies pitching staff, particularly their starters, have been a very positive piece for them. And one of the reasons why is that they are second in the league in fewest walks allowed, third in most strikeouts, and third in fewest home runs allowed. Right?
In that ballpark.
So they've dominated the 3 true outcomes. And now De Los Santos trying to find his spot.
Well, it's pretty nice when you go out and sign a free agent starter who you think is the #1 guy, but the guy that's on your staff becomes the #1 guy, and he's your #2 guy, Arrieta, so far.
Well, I think you'd also have to believe that the signing of Arrieta took the pressure off everybody else.
I totally agree. It adds to that great depth of the rotation.
De Los Santos, just 22 years old. 2-2 to Nimmo leading off. And he misses up and away with the fastball. 3-2. So Drew Gagnon already has something in common with you.
He does.
First big league start against the Phillies. 1-2-3 first inning.
Very nice.
Now I'm not sure if the caliber of hitter was the same today as it was for you.
Well, that doesn't matter. What matters is don't do what I did. I had a tired offensive unit behind me that night and lost 2-0 to the Phillies. No run.
What year was that?
1983. You were there.
I mean, Morgan, Rose, and Schmidt.
Yeah, well,
It's a little different from Hernandez, Hoskins, and Herrera.
No contest.
And Nimmo gets on with a leadoff walk.
Jeep Philly infield defense. Alfaro back behind the plate. Hernandez is the guy that stands out there defensively at second base. And Herrera in center is always a crapshoot. Nick Williams got hit in the coconut last night on a carom off the wall.
Here's Bautista, 1 for 6 in the doubleheader yesterday, and that throw almost went awry.
Quick move though by the youngster. He's got a very short arm kind of mechanics to the plate, so that's always going to make you have a quick release toss to first.
De Los Santos first signed with the Seattle organization. He was traded from the Mariners to the Padres in 2015 for Joaquin Benoit, and then came to the Phillies this past winter in the deal for Freddie Galvis. And Bautista goes after a breaking ball, and it's 0-2.
Took a lot off of that breaking ball.
Yes, he did. Born in the Dominican Republic from San Pedro de Macorís. When I was a player, that's where all the shortstops came from.
Right.
I think Alfredo Griffin was the first of that
Yes.
line, right? And then Tony Fernandez, and many, many more to follow. And the fastball gets Bautista looking, and so now De Los Santos will get his ball authenticated, his first big league strikeout. There he goes, right to the authenticator.
Well, the Mets have had a little issue this year of facing youngsters in their debuts. You know, you have all those scouting reports, and you got nothing when it comes to these guys.
You're guessing on a guy you never faced before.
Here's Cabrera, 2 for 5 yesterday with a double and a home run. Now 16 home runs for the year, 2 more than he hit all of last year. Well, what Ronnie was referencing was the fact that this is the 3rd starting pitcher to make his big league debut against the Mets, and the first 2, Mike Soroka of the Braves, Pablo Lopez of the Marlins, both got victories. It's the first time the Mets have allowed 2 first-time starters to get wins against them in the same year since 1988, when the names were John Smoltz and
good.
Rick Reed.
Very good.
Remember that game? Reed pitched for the Pirates, 8 innings, 3 hits, and of course he would later become a Met and a huge piece of the Mets postseason teams in '99 and 2000.
Smoltz would win over 200 more.
Pulled down to first. Nice grab by Santana. Out at first, and the tag at second to get Nimmo. 3-3-6 double play puts an end to Enyel De Los Santos's first big league inning. Nifty by Santana to get it started. And the rest was easy. After 1, Mets and Phillies, no score. Is here for $39.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand. Your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this sale. Carlos Santana tops the first pitch up the first base line. Gagno makes the play. 4 up and 4 down for the rookie right-hander.
2 assists already for Mr. Gagno.
So 1 pitch and 1 out, and now Nick Williams had 3 hits in the first game of the doubleheader yesterday. Blanked in the nightcap. Well, a lot of people blanked in the nightcap. Ronnie mentioned that there were only 4 hits yesterday and 24 strikeouts in that second game. It was only the 3rd game in Mets history that featured 20 more strikeouts than hits. The first 2, Max Scherzer's no-hitter against the Mets at the end of the 2015 season.
There were a ton of strikeouts in that game.
35,
right?
including 17 by Scherzer and 18 by a variety of Mets pitchers, and there were only 5 hits. And the other one was Tom Seaver's 19 strikeout game against the Padres in 1970. 26 strikeouts, 6 hits in that game.
Well, welcome to baseball 2018.
Right. It used to be you needed an extraordinary set of circumstances like a Max Scherzer or a Tom Seaver. Now it seems like it's every day.
More strikeouts and hits every day, week, month.
It'll be the first year in Major League history where there will be more strikeouts than hits if the current stats hold. Williams takes it just off the corner and a full count.
That's what I want to see here now. His first full count. What will Drew feature against Williams?
Scott Kingery on deck. And he jams Williams off the pitcher's glove, and it's going to be an infield hit. Well, he did a great job jamming the hitter, but could not quite reel it in. Move into his left, and Williams has the first hit for the Phillies.
It's almost where Drew is too quick off the mound, because this is just a simple 4-3 if he lets it go.
A little bit of nerves. You're on point your first start.
Hey, Ronnie, on a play like that, does anybody yell at you from behind to tell you leave it alone?
No, it's too quick. Too quick. Exactly.
There's Scott Kingery, 1 for 8 in the doubleheader yesterday.
It's one of those where you do your darndest to make the play, and that's just a fluke that it went off his glove.
From an infielder's point of view, Gary, you just don't know if the pitcher's going to get a glove on it or not. You know.
I mean, I know there are some pitchers who are attuned enough to where their defenders are. Like if you have a guy playing up the middle, that they'll just leave it alone.
I would find in today's game almost impossible to do that, because you're trying to get the hitters out, and there's so much shifting going on. How would you ever know where the infielders are at all times?
And on that ball, it was hit so softly. You know, it would be natural to think that he had to make the play. 0-2 to Kingery. His average is down to 229 for the year in his rookie season.
Yeah, he's got a slow bat too.
Before he played a day in the major leagues, Scott Kingery got a 6-year contract with 3 option years. So they bought out all of his arbitration and the first potentially 3 years of his free agency for a relatively low ticket.
Well, it worked for the Houston Astros, didn't it?
I think it's going to work for Kingery.
Curveball hit softly. Rosario crosses body for 1, and that's all they'll get. Nicely done by Ahmed to get the second out.
Well, the charge is hard, quick release, but no chance. Kingery runs well, and Oh, a few years ago, that would be very dangerous. Pivot for a second baseman, wouldn't it?
They probably wouldn't even try to pivot. Would have got out of dodge.
Probably would have come across the bag.
Come across the bag or get out behind if he could. Yep.
So here's Jorge Alfaro, the catcher. 0 for 3 yesterday. Alfaro having a very disappointing offensive year, getting just 242, 5 homers, 18 driven in, and 215 at bats, and 89 strikeouts in 215 at bats. That's hard to do.
Well, we were impressed early in the season with his bat. In the first series the Mets played, he had a lot of balls to right field.
Well, he was expected to be an offensive catcher, right? His defensive skills were raw, although he has a great arm. Looks like he's improved defensively and regressed offensively. Looks like he's breathing a little better this inning.
Second inning can sometimes be a little tougher though, Gary, because that first inning, it's just pure emotion, pure athleticism for all the repetitions in your entire career in the minor leagues, and then you come out for the second inning, it's like someone just deflated a balloon. That's what you feel like. Whoa, I'm tired.
Do you get it back?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
If you get out of the second inning.
Yeah.
Oh, he hits Alfaro. And that'll put 2 men on.
I think that was a changeup he hit him with.
Yes, he did. Change up all the way.
Move that elbow right back into it.
Yes, he did.
Right off the funny bone.
So 2 out and 2 on, and now Michael Franco appears to have found a home in the number 8 spot in the order. They've moved him down there recently, and over the last 20 games he's hitting .367. Doesn't sync up perfectly, but it seems like he's comfortable in that 8 spot. And Gabe Kapler was talking about it after the game yesterday. He said he feels as though Franco has always been known as a free swinger, knows that with the pitcher behind him he's going to get more pitches out of the strike zone, and that's actually made him more patient.
Well, it's not that that came out of nowhere. Where was Mr. Kapler last year? He was with the Los Angeles Dodgers. They did the same thing with Yasiel Puig. Put him in that 8th slot for most of the year, and it made him into a better hitter. Better knowledge of the strike zone.
And Franco unloads to deep left field, and that ball is gone. Franco with a 3-run homer, his 2nd of the series, his 12th of the year, and the Phillies jump out to a 3-0 lead.
High fastball out over the plate. Was it a changeup?
Yeah.
Not where he wanted it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan, and I've said this many times, of the right-hander to right-hander changeup. It's a good pitch if you keep it down.
Los Santos trying to bunt his way on, and it's grabbed by Mesoraco, and he tags him out.
But anytime it's up in the zone, it just sits there for the right-hander, the hammer.
So things were going well for Gagno, but Franco gives the Phils the early lead. Home runs in Vegas this year. Now he's given up his first in the big leagues.
Yeah, change up, got it up over the plate.
And that 8th hole is suiting Mr. Franco well.
May not be leaving it anytime soon. Wilmer Flores will lead off for the Mets in the second. Wilmer had the only 2 hits for the Mets in the nightcap of yesterday's doubleheader, and of course he hit the walk-off home run in Game 1, so he has the Mets' last 3 hits. And De Los Santos take to a 3-0 lead. There was a cutter outside for ball 1. Flores, Mesoraco, and Reyes for the Mets in the second. On the corner, 2-1. So we mentioned that the last time the Mets had a game where both teams had first-time starting pitchers was Jacob deGrom's debut when he faced the Yankees, and Chase Whitley, who was also making his debut. The only other time it happened in Mets history was in 2010 in Washington when Dylan G made his big league debut against Yunieski Maya. Now in Phillies history, you got to go back to 1944, the last time they had a game where both they and their opponent had a starting pitcher making their major league debut. It's amazing it hadn't happened in 74 years.
Especially with September call-ups, right?
And even in that circumstance, that was in September.
Okay.
Charlie Ripple started for the Phillies against Charlie Gassaway for the Cubs.
A better pitcher's name.
1944, so it was still during World War II.
Yes.
And those 2 pitchers, Ripple and Gassaway, combined for a career total of 6 wins. So the Mets have a good history, right, between G and deGrom.
That's right.
They're definitely ahead of the game in those first-time starter matchups. And a breaking ball misses the inside corner, and Flores is on with a leadoff walk. So the second straight inning, the De Los Santos has walked the leadoff batter.
You know, that's a case where the catcher should not allow that to happen. 3-2 breaking ball when you have your team just hit a 3-run home run. Now it's a pretty good pitch. They could have called it. Phil Cuzzy could have called it for strike 3.
It was a strike.
There's your umpiring crew. Phil Cuzzy has the plate today. Here's Mesoraco hitting 5th in the order today. Devin 1 for 5 yesterday. His 41st game as a Met.
Good count to hit right here. Nice to sit on a fastball.
And he fouls off said fastball just beyond Santana's reach. Early call on the Verizon trivia question today. Nats Park hosting the All-Star game for the first time. It's kind of a theme the last couple of days.
Yeah.
The other 4 current stadiums that have never hosted an All-Star game, not including the one that they introduced in Tampa today.
That's right. Ybor City.
It's not yet been built, but they introduced the model today. Mesoraco hits one out to right field, but Williams is there waiting for it. And Flores back to first, 1 out. The stadium that they're talking about building in Tampa Bay, Ybor City, has a translucent roof that stays fixed, but they've got huge windows in the outfield that open so they can make it an open-air stadium. But the first thing I thought of when they said translucent roof was when they first opened the Astrodome in
right.
1965. They had the clear panels because they
Right.
wanted to grow grass.
And no one could see the ball.
Exactly, and so they had to paint the roof, and then the grass died. Reyes drives one to the gap in left center. Herrera, though, racing over to make the catch. And back to first, Flores. Reyes hit that ball hard. Herrera, though, got a good jump on it for the second out. So I don't know if they've improved the technology of what that roof's going to be made of. But it'll be interesting to see whether that turns out to be something that's viable. They are talking about artificial turf there, not grass, which is a little surprising.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what they're used to. So here's Ty Kelly getting his first big league start of the season, playing left field today. Kelly played 69 games for the Phillies last year, after starting 10 games for the Mets the year before. If Ty could hit a little bit, be a valuable player because of his ability to switch it and play 6 different positions.
Versatility.
And Santos gets even 2-2. Kelly goes down swinging at a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. So for the second straight inning, De Los Santos works around a leadoff walk. 3-0 Phils after 2. Matchup on all the local baseball activity as our panel of insiders breaks down the latest Mets and Yankees news. Baseball Night in New York presented by Tri-State Cadillac Dealers, weeknights at 6 only on SNY. Third inning, second time around the batting order for Drew Gagnon, and Cesar Hernandez drives one to center, but Nimmo right there to grab it. 1 pitch and 1 out. For this generally patient Phillies team, that's the second straight inning that their leadoff hitter has made a first pitch out. And in the second inning was Santana, who has the second most walks in the National League, and this time it was Hernandez, who has the 5th most walks in the National League. So go figure. Here's Reese Hoskins, who had a comebacker his first time up.
So we talked about Hoskins having the 2C plates on his helmet, taking one off.
Interesting. Maybe because it's hot,
or is struggling.
Maybe he's got no hits in it.
Yeah.
He's got the right number.
Yeah, but he's hitting from the wrong side of the plate.
Well, that's true. That's negative. I always see. I'm looking at Gagnon. I see 47. I Jesse Orozco.
Not Hansel Robles.
No.
Oh, gee.
There have been a lot of prominent 47s for the Mets, right? Because not just Jesse, but Tom Glavine.
That's right.
Joe McEwing, memorable in 47th, not usually a position player's number.
Jesse had a pretty good career in that with that number.
Yeah, he did.
He had a very long career
Yes, he
with
did.
a lot of different numbers.
Yes, he did. Threw hard and had that yacker, boy.
2-2 from Gagnon. And it's up and in. Full count to Hoskins with a double Herrera on deck. And Hoskins just got a piece to keep the at-bat alive. Well, Phillies have certainly matured faster than anybody expected, much like the Braves. A lot of people anticipated that next year might be their big leap forward, but great record in one-run games, outstanding starting pitching. And here they are tied for first place.
They won 15 games in April and May and over 500, and June was under 500.
Ground ball toward the middle, and that'll go through for a base hit for Hoskins.
Phillies only won 66 games last year.
Didn't they have that streak, Gary, when they were out west and they couldn't score a run? You remember? You recall that when they were in San Francisco and they had that streak where they were held scoreless for they couldn't buy a run.
Yeah, their offense has been only so-so. They're 10th in the National League in runs scored. So 1 out and 1 on. Now Herrera comes up. Well, we mentioned in passing the fact that Herrera did not play the second game last night, and I'm sure that you've either watched, heard about, or debated what happened when Herrera came out on deck in the 8th inning of yesterday's second game. That's lined the other way, and Herrera's got himself a base hit, and the Phillies have 2 men on.
A ball hit on the nose by Herrera. Kelly, who plays a very deep left field. Look at the leg kick. He gets the foot down. That back foot comes through, Keith.
Yeah, he's a very unorthodox hitter. There's just no question about it.
So after the game was over yesterday, and you know, we all saw what happened, right? Mickey Callaway comes out before Herrera is announced into the game. That enables Gabe Kapler to pull Herrera back, sends up Yasmuel Valentin in his place, and Jerry Blevins strikes Valentin out. And we all assumed that Mickey had made an error in coming out too soon, but his explanation after the game was very different. He said that he actually wanted Blevins to face Valentin. He did not want him to face Herrera in that spot, and that he purposely came out quickly to avoid Herrera coming up. And I was kind of taken aback by that, and really gave it a lot of thought. And it does make some degree of sense, because Blevins has had backward splits this year, and Valentin obviously isn't as good a hitter as Herrera. But here's the thing, and I really thought about the situation quite a bit, and tell me if I'm off base here. It's a 3-0 game in the top of the 8th with 1 out and nobody on. It's an extremely low leverage situation, and Herrera is the best bullet that Kapler has in his dugout.
Right.
And when Kapler sends Herrera out on deck to pinch hit, it feels as though that Kapler is doing the Mets a huge favor, because he's got the lead. It's a low leverage situation. There's already one out in the inning. And I would think that if you're Callaway in that case, rather than trying to win that at bat, even if that's what you think, right, that you have a better shot of getting an out in that spot with Valentin rather than Herrera, that the most important thing in that spot is to make sure that Herrera is not available for a future situation that would be of higher leverage. Like if the Mets had come back and tied the game in the ninth, you wouldn't want Herrera to be available in an RBI situation to potentially win the game as Santana walks to load the bases. So it seems as though the logic that Mickey put out there for coming out early and making sure Herrera didn't come up made sense to him in the moment, and it worked because you got the lighter hitter up there. But you got the lighter hitter up in the low leverage situation and allowed Kapler to save his best hitter for a potentially higher leverage situation later. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's exactly how he thought, and Mickey even admitted that it was unorthodox making that move. I think the only issue you have there is what Mickey's fighting for is saying, hey, my offense is not doing a lot. Had one hit at the time. We can't afford to give up one more run. We have no shot. The issue we're talking about, or we were thinking about, is that what happens if the game ever does get tied and you're in the 12th inning and let's say a Tyler Bachelor comes in and Herrera is still on the bench. That's when they get to play their ace.
So it doesn't wash. You wait for him to be announced. You bring in Blevins and then you leave it to Kapler. Okay, do you want to leave him in against Blevins? I don't care. It was 1 for 12 against Blevins. Herrera, who cares? I don't care if he was 12 for 12. Right. You put it on Kapler what he wants to do, and if he decides to put a right-hander up, then you've got Herrera out of the game.
And here's the thing, which really surprised me, is that Kapler said after the game that had Herrera been announced, he was, as Cuzzy's taken some heat from the Mets dugout, and Jason Vargas has already been thrown out of a game that he did not participate in this year.
So Vargas must have a reputation as quite a bench jockey. That's what they call him.
Oh, rabbits.
Anyway, Kapler said that he would not have allowed Herrera to face Blevins, that he would have sent Valentin up at that time. I'm not sure that I buy that. That's lined into center field, a base hit for Williams, and that'll bring in a couple. Hoskins and Herrera both in to score. Santana goes to third. Nick Williams with a 2-run base hit to make it 5-0 Philadelphia.
Fastball, jump on it, first pitch, well done. Right into that opposite field gap, which reminds me of that article today in the Athletic, which was an interesting article we're talking about today, guys. A lot of the hitters talking about how difficult it is to hit against the shift. And Ronnie, you mentioned that, was it Carpenter that said you're taught your whole life not to hit a ground ball to shortstop?
That's right.
Well, hit it over his head.
That's what just happened there, right? Works.
Line drives are best. So 2 runs home in the inning. Mets get their bullpen cranked behind Gagno. And the curveball misses to Kingery, ball 1. Tyler Bachelor up in the Mets bullpen. Kingery grounded into a force play his first time. Gagno had a terrific first inning, retired the side in order. Then had an infield hit go off his glove in the second, and it's all seemed to tumble downhill from there. And that curveball stays inside. After that hit by Williams, he had 2 out, but then he hit Alfaro in the elbow with a pitch, and Franco unloaded a 3-run homer. Here in the third, just a bunch of hard hit balls. 3 hits and a walk, producing 2 runs. Threatening Santana leaking off third.
Yeah, Santana was trying to push the envelope. If there was a bad throw to Wilmer, he might have some speed, just not a lot of speed.
Wilmer looked like Gene Kelly over there for a moment.
Throws a fastball by Kingery 2-2. See Santana yapping to Reyes there. He didn't look very happy about it either. Like it wasn't a very friendly conversation.
They're just yapping.
Trash talking. I never understood the guy that goes back to the base and puts his hand over his ear, because if it is at your ear, it's going to hit you in the hand. The helmet is better, right? To block it.
Well, unless you're wearing the oven mitt.
Yeah.
That might take some of the sting out of it.
A lot of times when you see that many throws over, it's as much to try to stop the runner from running as it is to get your reliever ready.
And that one headed toward the noggin, goes off the glove of Mesoraco. Williams advances to second, but Santana stays put at third.
It almost seemed like the reaction of Kingery as it grazed his head. Well, I guess not.
Remember the changeup that hit Alfaro. This was a changeup also. So when we watched Drew pitch against the left-hander, his changeup has been much more effective. Seems like he has a better spot on it. Against the righties, not as effective.
It'll be a wild pitch charge to Gagno. 3-2 count now to Kingery with two runners in scoring position, and the infield comes in. Santana the runner at third. Now all that Swift. And Kingery pops one up. Shallow right. Who's going to get there? Flores out over the shoulder. And he makes the grab. Here comes Santana trying to score. Mesoraco with the tag. Double play. Wow. Side retired. Wilmer over the shoulder and then throwing a strike to the plate.
That's as fine a play as you're going to see a first baseman make. You go, Wilmer. Look at this. This is no easy catch. He's got to negotiate Batista and throws a perfect strike. That is a beautiful play. Bravo.
I mean, he probably should have let Batista catch that ball, but what a beautiful play.
He wasn't sure that Batista was going to get there.
That gets Gagno through the inning on a spectacular 3-2 double play. Home third inning, 5-0 Phillies. Ahmed Rosario leads off against Daniel de Los Santos, and a call strike to Rosario, 0-1. Ahmed 1 for 6 in the doubleheader yesterday. And Drew Gagnon is on deck to bat for himself. Rosario hits one to deep left field. Back goes Hoskins onto the track. Back near the wall. He can't get it. He hits that wall hard. Rosario around second. He's going to try for 3, and he slides in safely. Now let's see if Hoskins is okay. He's on his feet. Boy, he hit that wall very hard.
Oh, Lord, he got smoked.
You got to go out there because the reason he's wearing that C-flap is he broke his jaw earlier this year.
Yes.
His face hit the wall.
Right in the chin, which was the same spot he got hit by his own foul ball.
A long way to run here. Not fearless, really. I mean, he crashed.
That reminds me of Jason Bay at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
He's all right. You like it?
Good. Says I'm good.
Well,
Tough
it's
kid.
amazing that he's good.
Shades of Mike Baxter.
Yeah. How about since it's the Phillies, Aaron Rowan?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Xavier Nady. Bases drunk.
So it's a triple for Rosario, his 3rd triple of the season, and the Mets with a chance to get on the board. Gagnon will get his first big league plate appearance. 13 for 101 in the minor leagues, a 129 lifetime hitter, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Fly ball center field, that should get the run in. Tagging at third, Rosario. Herrera unleashes the throw to the plate, but it's far too late. And Drew Gagnon, in his first big league plate appearance, drives in a run. That gets the family back into smiles.
Yeah. Well, because of the doubleheader yesterday and all the pitchers used, he gets to stay in this game and he produces.
Mets have 2 fewer relievers out there than they had yesterday. Jacob Rame, who was the 26th man, went back down, and Paul Sewald also sent back down to make room for Gagnon.
Sewald and Rame are going head to head in the shuttle.
It's a lot of frequent flyer miles out there. Those all disappear next year when the Mets move their AAA team to Syracuse.
I haven't looked at the current CBA, but I wonder if it's the same. Like in our day, you had 72 hours, 48 hours to go from the big league team to the minor league team. No one ever took that long to go from the minor league team to the big league team.
And now with all the guys yo-yoing, you don't want to be the guy who takes 3 days to get there. You know, you want to get there quick so you get the next call.
Except the way they have been yo-yoing people, do you think at times that teams will say, hey, why don't you stay in town for one more day, just in case so-and-so's shoulder doesn't feel so great?
Now, I know you're allowed to have a taxi squad where a guy can come in a day early, but are you technically allowed to keep a guy around for an extra day after he's sent down?
Probably technically not, but
Nemo strikes out. 3rd strikeout for De Los Santos. 2 down in the inning.
it's like the witness protection program. You get yourself a hotel that no one knows about.
If I ever got involved in one of those, they'd have to change my whole face. Change the whole look.
Well, just shave the mustache. You'll be all set.
Come back look like Gary.
You have to lose a lot of hair.
No, with hair.
And that's a whole different story. StatCast powered by Amazon Web Services. Full shift against Bautista. And De Los Santos misses up and in with the slider, and it's 1-1. 22-year-old Eniel De Los Santos in his big league debut has had the better of things so far. Bautista shatters the bat as he fouls it off. Shattered lengthwise.
Looks like De Los Santos has an idea, Ron, out there. He knows what he's doing.
He doesn't overthrow. He's got 3 quality pitches.
Watch SNY Mets games on the go on any device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. Batista watches away. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He doesn't have the split finger, but does he remind you at all of Jose Contreras? The pitcher used to pitch for the Yankees, Chicago White Sox,
2005 World Series. Asdrubal Cabrera would be next. 3-2 to Bautista. And he hits one in the air to left. Hoskins circles in toward the line, calls. And that retires the side. A little easier play for Hoskins than the one he attempted to make to start that 3rd inning. Couldn't quite get to Rosario's triple and paid the price. Good to see him walking. Gagno back to the mound for the 4th inning after driving in the Mets' only run. He'll face the lower third of the Phillies batting order. Jorge Alfaro leads off and takes a fastball high. Alfaro got hit in the elbow by a pitch right before Maikel Franco's 3-run homer. Knocked Gagno back on his heels. Phillies added 2 more runs in the 3rd.
Oh,
and he gets nicked again.
He didn't try to get out of the way of that ball, did he?
No.
So Gagno hits Alfaro for a 2nd time.
Another changeup. Runs in.
On the other side of the elbow. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Gary, one of the great things that the Mets do here every year is Night to Believe to benefit Project ALS, which is a great organization that raises funds to fight Lou Gehrig's disease. And the co-founder, Valerie Estes, is here with me. We've had you on before, Valerie. So thankful for you to be here and take some time with us. For those who don't really know, what do nights like tonight that the Mets sponsor do for your organization?
You have to think of the Mets as leading the league in ALS research. So the Mets the Mets organization has raised over $2.5 million for critical ALS research. So a night like this says it all. It just puts a bow on it.
You know, people certainly are aware of how awful a disease ALS is and how much needs to be done to help fight it. But you were telling me something interesting before, that these funds are about more than just fighting ALS. There are other diseases that this helps as well.
Yeah, ALS is not a rare disease in the sense that it's very closely related to Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And these are diseases that are going to touch every family and every baseball fan watching this right now.
Valerie, for people that might want to donate, get involved, what would be the best way for them to do so?
Please reach out to us, projectals.org. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, Valerie. Well, I appreciate the time as always. Big Mets fan, Valerie Estes, and a fantastic cause, fantastic night here that the Mets sponsor. Gary?
It's great work those people do.
I had a good friend in Santa Monica when I lived there who contracted ALS, and boy, it's so debilitating so quickly. Just awful.
One to De Los Santos. Gets the bunt down.
Nice.
Gagne will go to first with it. 1-4 on the sacrifice. Moves Alfaro to second with 2 out. So now Cesar Hernandez, who is 0 for 2, struck out, line to center field. Gagno's last minor league start last Wednesday threw 100 pitches in 6 innings in Fresno. That's pushing him now to the beginning of the 3rd time through the Phillies batting order, with Tyler Bachelor up in the bullpen again behind him. And Hernandez flies one out to center, and Nimmo waits for it. That retires the side. Middle of the 4th, 5-1 Phillies. For Brooklyn yesterday, he's back on the bench with the Mets today and almost got himself thrown out of another game while not participating.
You want a joke? It's not a joke to me. You want a joke and wave? Give me waving from the clubhouse in here.
was fantastic.
Well, what was fantastic is Jason's reaction. We caught it, and I read his lips. He said, "What are you talking about?" to Cuzzy.
I just feel like we just had our jackpot moment.
We never bury the lead here.
Cabrera yanks one foul.
I thought it was interesting because both Vargas and Phil Cuzzy, there were no curse words. That's very rare with an umpire-player kind of interaction.
But Ronnie, that's why we're able to play it.
Oh, I know. Yes. I thought we might beep.
I'm not sure we have beeping capability.
No.
That's more of a studio thing.
This booth could use some beeping.
Well, probably for our own good. There are times. Cabrera grounded into a double play his first time up. He takes the fastball down. 3-2. De Los Santos has dialed it up to 96 a few times. Flores on deck, then Mesoraco for the Mets in the fourth. And Cabrera gets surprised inside. 4 strikeouts for De Los Santos. Drive around the majors presented by Cadillac. Times for streaking and struggling. Well, you got your Red Sox, 34 games over 500, 7 straight wins. You got your A's moving their way inexorably into the wild card race, now 6 behind Seattle by winning 17 of the last 21. But then there's the Nats back down to 500, and the woeful Royals, 10 straight losses, 40 games under 500.
The Royals have won 11 games at home. 11.
Well, the Mets have only won 16.
The Red Sox are winning tonight 5-1 in Texas. If they win, they will be 35 games over 500. And that's a week before the All-Star break.
Now you're going to have to help me with this, Ronnie.
Okay.
There's a kid pitching in relief for the Red Sox tonight named Beeks. Jalen Beeks.
I don't know that name. Wow.
The only way I know the name Beeks is from the movie Trading Places.
Oh, that's right.
Beeks! Beeks!
That's right.
They dress him in the gorilla suit?
Yeah.
Flores fouls one back, and Alfaro watches it go out of play 3-2.
Keith's good friend, the late, great Paul Gleason was in that movie.
Well, he was your friend also.
Yeah, he was.
Big Paul. Paul actually was on All My Children. And a big baseball fan, and he played some minor league ball and knew Ken Boyer. That's when Kenny was managing the Cardinals. That's how I got to know Paul when I got traded here.
Franco lays out and then throws out Flores, 2 out. Beautifully done by Franco, who has the biggest hit in this game, and now a nice defensive play as well.
No, that's a rob.
Franco's always had a good glove. He's always had one of the best arms of any third baseman in the game. And that's the big hit tonight.
So De Los Santos with a chance for his first 1-2-3 inning. Mesoraco turns one foul.
Oh, nice play.
2 hands. You see that?
Good fundies.
Threw it to the Phillies fan.
Did you notice that?
Come on.
I wonder what size helmet that is.
It's the Jay Horwitz model. 0-2 to Mesoraco. Takes the fastball high at 97 from De Los Santos. He's just getting warmed up.
I think he just really has an idea of what he's doing. He adds some tracks with his fastball, breaking ball also.
Hit down to third, and another nice pick by Franco. 2 fine plays by Maikel Franco to finish off the bottom of the 4th inning. A dive to his left, and this time putting one in his hip pocket. It's a nice highlight move. After 4, 5-1 Phillies. Minor leagues, and Drew Gagnon finally got his chance to take a big league mound. First inning had the family happy. We got him 1, 2, 3. Not quite as happy in the second when Michael Franco took Drew Gagnon deep. Phillies added 2 in the third. Gagnon responded with a scoreless fourth, and now will face Reese Hoskins to start the fifth. Hoskins apparently none the worse for wear for his close-up with the left field wall. Didn't even have the C flap on.
Well, just think about it. He hasn't really hit the way he can. Stops and starts because of the broken jaw. 14 and 56 before the break. So if he gets red hot, could still have himself a good year.
Well, when the year began, of course, what Philly fans were hoping for was that what he did in 50 games could be multiplied by 3.
Right.
He had 18 home runs and 48 RBIs in 50 games. So you salivate at what that could mean. But what he's having is a pretty respectable first year in the majors.
He's on a pace for 30 and 100.
Bullpen quiet at the moment for the Mets after they had action in each of the last 2 innings. Hoskins fouls off a fastball, 2-2. Hoskins 1 for 2 tonight, and a single up the middle to get the Phillies 2 runs third inning started. You don't know how this game's going to finish out for Drew Gagnon, but I think all things being equal, he's very happy to have traded a trip to the Grand Canyon for a chance to start tonight.
That's where he was going to go for the All-Star break?
Well, this week is the minor league All-Star break, AAA
that's right.
All-Star break, so he was headed to the Grand Canyon with his fiance. Changeup gets Hoskins looking. That's the second strikeout for Gagnon, who struck out the first batter he faced in the big leagues, and now the second. Yeah, so they had to do a quick cancellation on Grand Canyon trip. You know, Grand Canyon going there is it's spectacular, right?
Yes.
But here's the thing, unless you're going to, hike down into the canyon or do something like that. So what do you do when you get to the Grand Canyon? You drive there, you get out, you go to one of the scenic overlooks, and you go, wow. Wow.
You can take the old whitewater rafting trip.
But I'm saying, if you're not going to do that, because a lot of people are, they're not inclined to do that. But otherwise,
expensive.
You get 3 wows, and it's time for lunch. Right?
Exactly.
Herrera deep to right center, and that ball's headed toward the bullpen. Odubel Herrera with his 16th home run of the year, 2nd home run of the night for the Phillies, and they lead at 6-1.
Sitting on that fastball. He's just sitting on it right down the middle.
"16 home runs, new career high for Herrera."
Look at that leg. It's almost like a pitcher, for crying out loud. And a windup.
Two 2-0 to Santana, and now 3-0. And that gets the bullpen back to work for the Mets. Tyler Bachelor now up for the 3rd time. Santana has hit a comebacker and walked. 5 walks in this series already for Santana, and 73 for the year. Only Bryce Harper has more in the National League. He hammers one foul, 3-2.
Doesn't have a lot of sink on his ball. It runs just a little bit.
Yeah. He's too not over the top enough.
Here's a good changeup to strike out Santana. Strikeout number 3 for Drew Gagnon.
Well, we came into this game saying that his changeup was his best pitch, and that has not changed our opinion. When he throws it right, very difficult, especially for the left-handed hitters, to put in play.
Threw the one really bad one to Franco that resulted in a 3-run homer. And that put an early crimp in his night. Now Nick Williams, who drove in 2 with a base hit his last time up. Williams has been something of a revelation, hasn't he? He was a forgotten man early in the season. Breaks his bat and he's got himself another base hit. 3 for 3 in this game. And now 6 for 11 in the series.
Came inside. Remember the first hit, we also jammed him inside. Hit the ball, a little chopper right back at Williams, and got an infield hit.
That's going to be all for Drew Gagnon. In his big league debut, he's done after 4 2/3 and 81 pitches. A day that 28-year-old Drew Gagnon will always remember. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon.
See?
There it is, the splendor of the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
And if you're flying the helicopter down the Colorado River like they are in these photos, that would be fantastic.
There's rattlesnakes down there.
Runner goes on the first pitch by Tommy Bachelor. Perfect throw by Mesoraco. And Cabrera might have gotten spiked, but he makes the tag on Nick Williams to end the inning. So Bachelor throws one pitch. And there's a caught stealing. We asked which were the 4 current stadiums other than Nationals Park that have not hosted All-Star games. New Yankee Stadium. Citizens Bank Park hasn't had one.
Really? Really? I mean, I'm always used to in today's game that as soon as you get a new park, you have an All-Star game within the first 5 years, right?
It's generally the case. Citi Field had one in its 5th season.
Yeah.
And Citizens Bank Park opened 5 years before Citi Field. Jose Reyes leading off the home 5th. Reyes hit the ball hard his first time up, lined out to Herrera in left center. Reyes, Kelly, and Rosario for the Mets against Enyel De Los Santos. And did he go? He went around, strike 3.
Jeez.
5 strikeouts now for De Los Santos in his debut, and he's now retired 7 in a row.
Bingo.
So 1 away. And here's Kelly, who struck out in his first at bat. So things didn't go real well for Drew Gagno on the mound overall. 4 2/3 innings, 6 runs, 7 hits, but he became only the 3rd Met pitcher to drive in a run in his big league debut. Ty Kelly flies one out to center field, and Herrera puts it away.
I know Dylan G did.
He did. You know the other one too. It happened here.
Oh, it's the greatest game a pitcher's ever had in his debut.
Steven Matz, 4 RBIs in his first game. And now Drew Gagno is on that list of 3. And he's the only Met pitcher ever to have a sacrifice fly in his first big league start. So he's got that one to himself. Rosario has the Mets' only hit in this game, that triple that sent Hoskins crashing into the wall in the 3rd inning and then came in on the sac fly.
I mean, I feel for him. I know exactly what it feels like to, you put your head on your pillow when you're a kid and you have that dream of when you have your first start in the big leagues or your first play, and it always in your dreams is a shutout if you're a pitcher and 4 for 4 if you're a player, but it doesn't usually work out that way.
Not for very many.
No.
Best pitching debut I ever saw, Jason Jennings for the Rockies.
He had a little league game, right?
Complete game shutout and a home run in his major league debut. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, right? One-two coming. And Rosario takes inside. 2-2. P.J. Conlon is up in the Mets bullpen. Conlon just arrived yesterday. We saw him as a starter earlier this year. Now here to pitch in relief. Well, that's probably a better role for him at the big league level, I would think.
Made his start in Cincinnati, I believe.
And Rosario hits one toward the middle. Kingery can't snag it. And Rosario's on base again. We'll score that a base hit. Rosario's 2 for 2.
If that was a knuckleball, it seemed like Kingery got there in time, but
Corner just thought the ball was hit harder. I mean, it just was a little humpback line drive, not hit very hard.
Just missed it.
Should have had it.
Well, Tyler Bachelor is going to take the turn at bat. One pitch in the top of the inning, so the Mets want more out of him. This is the 23rd plate appearance for a Mets relief pitcher this year. I mean, we have a dispute with the truck. They say 24. They're probably right. And it ends quickly. 6 strikeouts for De Los Santos as Bachelor strikes out in his first big league plate appearance. 6-1 Phillies after 5. DeGrom, second-time All-Star, halfway to a potential Cy Young season. City probables tomorrow. Vince Velasquez comes off the DL to pitch for the Phillies, so that'll be a high-velocity matchup. Scott Kingery leading off in the 6th inning against Tyler Bachelor, who threw one pitch and got a caught stealing to end the 5th with Kingery at the plate. Kingery's 0 for 2 in this game, 1 for 10 in the series, and plays off the high fastball 2-0. Kingery hit the pop-up into shallow right field that Wilmer Flores made a spectacular play on, catching it over the shoulder, wheeling and throwing a one-hop strike to the plate to double up Carlos Santana. That's on the corner, 2-1.
Need to play that earlier in the game, get to the post quicker.
Well, you can't start the race too early. Folks have to get to the windows.
Most important part.
Now you can go to the windows for these events, right?
That's right.
Seems awful strange.
Tough one to handicap tonight, wouldn't it?
Well, it's not a lot of past performances to go by. You know, those maiden races, those are always difficult. You can go by the workouts, you can go by the breeding,
Right.
but ultimately, who really knows until they hit the track?
Well, I use the exact science of going by the names I enjoy or like. That's what I use.
See, now if you opted for the horses with names that you don't like, that might be a nice contrarian strategy.
Yeah, and I'm usually a contrarian, so
Well,
that would work. But see, having a last name like Darling, over the course of 10 races, there's going to be one Darling reference on one of the horses.
And you go for or against?
Four.
Ball out to center, hit well. Nimmo way back, and it's over his head and off the base of the wall. Kingery to second. He'll pull in there with a 408-foot double.
Struck solidly here, obviously. Fastball right down the middle. Let launch angle swing. Want the lift, and gets over the head of Brandon.
You know, Kingery's not a big guy, but you can see what kind of power he can produce. Saw a lot of that, and he had, I mean, as good a spring training as anyone in the game.
17th double of the year. Now Jorge Alfaro is at a painful night. He's been up twice, hit by a pitch in his left elbow both times. Tyler Bachelor in his 4th big league outing. Pitched Sunday against Tampa Bay, a 1-2-3 inning. Big cut by Alfaro at a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Bachelor, 11th round pick for the Mets in 2013, coming out of South Georgia College. Third product of South Georgia College ever to make it to the major leagues. The other two, Don Collins, no relation to Terry or Tom, and Steve Foucault, had the most prominent career of the South Georgia College grads back in the 70s. One-two coming, and Alfaro takes strike 3 call. He begs to differ with Phil Cuzzy on a ball that might have been up and away. And that's the first out. We check in with the studio. Eamon McEnany has a game break brought to you by your Tri Honda dealers. Eamon opting against the smoke. Smoked it. Nice job, Eamon. One out, runner at second. Now Michael Franco, who delivered the big blow in this game, a 3-run homer in the second.
Stroman is pitching for Toronto, who didn't pitch very well against the Mets, so he's having a good game.
You know, I had remembered just how diminutive Marcus Stroman is. I mean, he's about the shortest right-handed pitcher I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't be more than 5'7", right?
At the most. I always remembered Tom Gordon being kind of small considering how hard he threw. But he was bigger than
Yeah, Flash was like 5'11", 6 feet. Listed Gordon at 5'9", 160. I guess D is a little taller, but even skinnier.
Our cameraman Al today found out he thought he was 5'9". He went to the doctor's office. 5'7" and a queech now.
He shrunk.
Yes.
He's carrying that camera on his shoulder. It's compressed him. Grounded toward the middle, and Franco's got a base hit. Around third comes Kingery, and he'll come in to score. Franco's 4th RBI of the night. And the Phillies continue to stretch their lead. It's now 7-1. And Daniel De Los Santos, who has already pitched the qualifying 5 innings, bidding to become the 3rd debuting starting pitcher to get a win against the Mets in 3 tries this year. Mike Soroka, Pablo Lopez, and De Los Santos 6 runs up. Had a sacrifice his last time up.
Cabrera just pushed Franco off the base. I haven't run across an Enyo yet. Have you in the major leagues?
First one in the big leagues. And De Los Santos fouls one right into Mesoraco, and that stung.
I think that came back up on the rebound.
Every catcher's been there. Because he gets a smile out of Tyler Bachelor. There's always a lot of nervous smiles when guys get hit in that spot.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's given Mesoraco a breather. Let him collect himself.
Because he's a New York guy, isn't he?
It's a good thing that Cuzzy didn't smile, because then Mesoraco would have been well within his rights to say, you know, it's not a joke.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Devin blocks that one. It's 2-2. De Los Santos gets it down again. His second sacrifice in his big league debut.
De Los Santos has an idea how to bunt.
Bunt and pitch.
So 2 out, Franco at second. We check in with Steve.
Guys, one of the things that you pointed out yesterday was a little bit of a change in how Jose Reyes approaches third base. He's really getting into a setup position prior to the pitch, something we really haven't seen out of him in the past. He's always been a guy that essentially just stands upright playing shortstop or third base. He said the reason he used to do that is because he was worried about his range and he felt like standing up straight he could get to more balls. But Gary DiSarcina a few weeks ago said when you're at third base, it's all about reaction. You don't need to worry about range. So he's gotten to that setup position and feels much more comfortable now playing third base than before.
Kelly reels in Hernandez's fly ball, and that puts an end to the top of the 6th. Phillies tack on a run and lead it 7-1. This day in baseball history presented by Empire City Casino. 1984, Dwight Gooden's coming out party at the All-Star game in San Francisco. Struck out Lance Parrish, struck out Chet Lemon, struck out Alvin Davis, and that was Doc. Nimmo flies one out to center. Herrera squeezes it, and that's the first down the bottom of the 6th. Most strikeouts ever for a rookie pitcher, 276.
Favorite score?
Yep.
Remember, late in the season, he was 500. He turned it on the last, what was it, 2 months of the season?
At age 19.
He had a great run. Talk about guys wanting to protect arms.
The strikeout that got him the record was against the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'll never forget, because it was one of my favorite teammates, Marvell Wynn, who had been in the Mets system for a long time.
I was at that All-Star game.
White shoes and all.
Yes, sir.
White shoes?
Oh, well, always in the All-Star game, I wore white shoes.
I didn't remember that.
Oh, 5 times.
Gotta go watch the video now. Why?
Oh, just styling.
Like a Joe Namath,
Oh,
Billy White Shoes Johnson
got
tribute.
it. Absolutely.
Punched into center field by Bautista, and he has a base hit. Just the 3rd hit of the game for the Mets.
You were an Adidas guy, if I remember, right?
I was. Yep. That's jammed inside a little bit, muscles it out there. Looking to break his swing down, bring that left elbow in. That's called an inside out. Emergency swing.
Here's Cabrera, who's grounded into a double play and struck out. Hooked in the air to right, and Williams stands his ground. 2 out. Well, the Mets are cashing in at bats quickly with this game lopsided in the 6th inning. And that is enabling the first-time starter Enyel De Los Santos to get deeper into the game. No action in the Phillies bullpen as yet. Wilmer Flores robbed of a hit on a fine play by Franco, diving to his left his last time up. And he lines one into right center for a base hit. Bautista will go first to third, cut off deep by Williams. Bautista's going to be held, and he runs through the stop sign. Now he's going to try and get back, and he gets back safely. Not sure what Bautista was thinking. It was a hard stop by Glenn Sherlock, and Bautista ran past him.
Wilmer, last night he drove a ball into that right center field gap.
Well, if you watch Bautista, I don't know if we'll have a shot of Glenn Sherlock, but he had one point where he gave him one late wave and then put the stop sign on.
Looks like maybe he just had his head down. In any event, it's a double for Flores. So the Mets put a couple of hits together here in the 6th. And now Mesoraco, who is 0 for 2 in this game. And the Phillies will get their bullpen up. Mark Leiter Jr. is on call. Son of Mark, nephew of Al. Mesoraco pops one foul on the right side. Santana to the barrier, and he makes the catch. And that retires the side. Mets have 2 left in scoring position. De Los Santos through 6 with a 7-1 lead. Comes in to play first base. Wilmer Flores moves to second. As Dribble Cabrera appeared to tweak his arm on a tag to end the 5th inning, so he comes out of the game. 7-1 Phillies as we go to the 7th. Tyler Bachelor's worked an inning in the 3rd in relief. He'll stay on for the 7th to face Reese Hoskins, Odubel Herrera, and Carlos Santana. Hoskins 1 for 3 tonight, singled and scored a run in the 3rd, but most importantly, lived to tell about his meeting with the left field wall chasing Ahmed Rosario's triple. Went face first into the padding and hit it so hard that you couldn't help but feel as though it was the kind of jolt that might do some damage, particularly for a guy who came back a month ago from a fractured jaw.
Well, it says a lot about Reese Hoskins that he played 3 or 4 games with a broken jaw. Ooh. And that in a 5-0 game, that's what the Phillies were winning by in that 3rd inning, an all-out play. A certain toughness. I like that.
He's obviously seen the video of the Aaron Rowan catch.
Yeah.
Although, you know, Rowan got the worst of it because his face hit a metal rail, which they later padded.
Well, the funny part about that story is that they had planned or had the padding. They just were going to put it in the next time the team was away. Philadelphia was leaving after this game.
2006. Boom, right into that metal railing. And it saved the game.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Would have been at least 3 runs if he hadn't caught the ball. And the Phillies won the game 2-0. Rain shortened game, if I recall correctly.
Gavin Floyd, 5 innings.
Steve Traxel pitched for the Mets that day. 2-2 to Hoskins. Off speed, lined over short, just beyond the reach of Rosario. And Hoskins has his 2nd hit of the day.
Just out of the reach.
It's pretty good hops. Sent to the NBA Combine. Here's a Odubel Herrera, who's 2 for 3. Hit a long home run into the Phillies bullpen his last time up, his career high 16th of the year. Hits now for the Phillies. And a slider in for a strike from Batchelor.
Herrera doesn't like the Plains either, Keith.
No.
Oh, left-hand hitter who wears 37.
There you go.
Behind third, Reyes back to the tarp. Nice play. Jose Reyes with a beauty right before he hit the tarp for the first down.
Watch him right here late. Well, he checks where he's at on the as far as how close he is to that tarp. Knew he had enough room. Nice play.
Here's Carlos Santana. And he takes a strike. Hoskins at first and 1 out. And Batchelor buries the slider, and it's a ball and a strike. The Phillies 7 runs, 10 hits. The Mets 1 run, 4 hits. We're in the 7th. Drew Gagnon, 4 2/3 innings in his big league debut. Gave up 6 runs and 7 hits, walked 1, struck out 3, hit 2 batters, a wild pitch, 2 home runs. He filled out his dance card, but more importantly, he got on a big league mound for the first time after pitching in the minor leagues in 8 different seasons. 1-2 coming. And he held the swing on the slider. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That's the breaking ball from Bachelor, more like a curveball. Nice spin coming out of his hand.
Two and 2 to Santana.
You can get Santana to fish until he has 2 strikes. And then he becomes a very disciplined hitter. That's why he's got all those walks.
So as a pitcher, you have to change your evil ways. 3-2 coming. Fouled away. Santana draws another walk, his 6th in this series. Smooth. Let's go to Eamon McEnany in the studio for another game break. Red Sox going for their 8th straight win tonight. Here's Nick Williams, who's already 3 for 3. Singled off the pitcher's glove, singled to center to drive in 2, broke his back, singled to right. Second 3-hit game in this series already. Bachelor throws one right by Williams. 1-2. Bachelor 38 pitches already in an inning and 2/3 of relief. Nobody up behind him in the Mets bullpen, so clearly Mickey Callaway wants him to finish this 7th.
I think relief pitchers need their own union.
Well, I would think this would be the kind of day where anybody who's available outside of your, your top cadre
Primary
of relievers,
guys.
you run them out there. You got DeGrom going tomorrow.
I agree with you. I was just saying they need their own union because, like starting pitching, you are so worried about how many pitches they have and how many they're going to throw. And as Williams goes down on strikes. But with relievers, it's like, what's his pitch count? I have no idea. They just need him to pitch longer.
Very late.
Late indeed.
Can I give you a snack or something, Keith?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Why?
You got enough water over there?
I've got plenty of water.
Okay. Just making sure you're all set. I worry about you sometimes.
No, I'm fixed and focused on the screen here.
Kingery flies another one to deep center. This time Nimmo goes back onto the warning track and gets it. After Kingery doubled over his head last time up, this time Nimmo's equal to it, and Bachelor gets through the top of the 7th. Stretch time 7-1 Phillies. Well, first-time starter Enyel De Los Santos working into the 7th inning.
Third time through the order.
Settle out. Facing Jose Reyes, who lined out to center and struck out 0 for 2. Reyes hitless in his last 10 at-bats, coming off a fine defensive play in the last half inning. Ty Kelly, Ahmed Rosario to follow. Phillies have bullpen help up behind De Los Santos. But it's been a very impressive debut for this 22-year-old right-hander who's in his 3rd different organization and getting his first crack in the major leagues. And Reyes takes the fastball high, and it's 3-1. Mark Leiter Jr., who was up in the last inning, up again. And Reyes takes ball 4, and he's on to start the inning. We'll see whether Gabe Kapler goes any further with his young starter. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. 3rd walk for De Los Santos, who walked the leadoff hitter in each of the first 2 innings. Got through that. Hadn't walked anybody else since. Long meeting at the mound, but no move from the dugout.
Well, they can't be delaying for the reliever. Leiter's been up a couple of times already.
Shouldn't be hard to get loose. It's, 88 degrees.
That's right.
Now Ty Kelly still looking for his first big league hit of the season. 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for 5 overall. And that one gets behind Alfaro, and down to second base goes Reyes.
Usually rule those pass ball because it's caught all glove, not in the dirt.
They're going to score that one a wild pitch.
That's what I get for listening to you, Ronnie.
Sorry, buddy.
I listen to Howie Carpet.
My game.
He's got the only voice of authority here.
Right.
Kelly hits comebacker. Reyes gets back to the bag, and De Los Santos throws out Kelly, 1 away. Final game of this 4-game series tomorrow night. Jacob deGrom gets the ball for New York. Vince Velasquez comes off the DL to pitch for the Phillies. Coverage at 6:30 tomorrow night on SNY. I think the 2 of them will go out there and both throw left-handed just to see if they can do it.
Right.
I mean, Velasquez has already laid down the gauntlet with his throw to first in his last start. Here's Rosario, who's 2 for 2, a triple and a single. Lowe's whole team together. Asdrubal Cabrera, by far the Mets hit leader. But Rosario's second on the list. Does that surprise you?
It surprised me, yeah.
By the way, I don't think we've mentioned during the broadcast tonight the news about Jay Bruce, and it's not at all promising. Jay started baseball activities a few days ago, felt more discomfort in his hip, and now has been shut down from all activity for 10 days. So it's going to be well beyond the All-Star break before the Mets can hope to see Bruce again. As for Cespedes, there's no new news.
Well, Alfaro had to go out there. That's the second time in this inning that he's been crossed up by the youngster.
Wonder if that's a little mental fatigue right now.
Maybe.
93 pitches deep. He threw as many as 115 in a minor league start this year, and once went as far as 8 innings. Line down the left field line, and Rosario's got his 3rd hit of the day. That'll bring in Reyes. Rosario digging for second. He's taking the turn. He's going to try for 3. And Rosario's in safely with his 2nd triple of the day. This one brings in a run, and it's now 7-2.
Hanging slider, rips it down the line.
So here's my question. Have you ever seen a player get 2 triples in the same game, both hit to left field? I don't think I've ever seen that before. Well, that's going to do it for Enyel De Los Santos. Outstanding debut for the 22-year-old. He'll leave with a 7-2 lead. Well, that young man looked like he was doing this for a long time. Not his first big league start, which is what it was. 22-year-old Enyel De Los Santos out after 6 1/3.
Yeah, totally composed as Mark Leiter comes in. Third stint with the Phillies this year. Was recalled on June 30th. Right forearm strain. Put him on the DL.
Michael Conforto, the pinch hitter for New York, takes the slow curveball high from Leiter. Ball 1. Conforto played both ends of the doubleheader yesterday. Went 0 for 6. Batting average down to 218 for the year. Rosario at third, infield back with the exception of Franco at third. And Conforto whacks one foul, 1-1. So I've thought about it, and I still haven't recalled anybody getting 2 triples to left field in the same game.
No.
And not left center, but like one off the wall and straightaway left, and one down the left field line. And that's what Rosario has done tonight. Now, of course, if he'd stopped at second, might have had a chance for a cycle. So I think he'd have to settle for a tricycle, which would be getting a 3rd triple, which only one Met has ever done.
Really?
Doug Flynn.
Really? Dougie?
He only met with 3 triples in a game.
Doug wasn't the fastest runner.
That'll bring in a run as Kingery throws out Conforto. Rosario comes in, and that cuts the Phillies lead to 7-3. So in the last 16 seasons, there have been 10 instances where a Met has hit 2 triples in a game. Corey Sullivan did it once. Rosario did it tonight. And the other 8 times it was Reyes. Here's Nimmo with 2 out and nobody on. Mets have scored twice here in the 7th, so the book now closed on De Los Santos. 6 1/3 innings, 3 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, a wild pitch, 94 pitches in his big league debut. Slow curve from Leiter in for a strike.
I think I had 2 triples in 1 year, which is
that's pretty
for me,
impressive.
it's
Well, for
highlight.
any pitcher. I know you don't necessarily like to be judged as a pitcher when it comes to hitting.
That's what I did. Wasn't good enough to be a player.
Now, is that necessarily true? Do you think you could have made it to the big leagues as a shortstop?
Defensively, I could have played some positions, but I just could. The whole thing about being up here is you got to rake, and I could not.
Well, I mean, you could have been Ray Euler.
Ray Euler. Eddie Brinkman.
Mark Belanger.
The Blade. You got to play some pretty good defense to hit like that, though.
No, there you go. Nimmo's 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. And he goes down swinging on an off-speed pitch from Leiter. And that retires the side. Mets scratch out a couple in the 7th. They trail 7-3. Fail to give Brandon Nimmo some tough guy training on an all-new episode of the SNY.TV digital series, The Amazing Life, presented by Coca-Cola. Watch it now at SNY.TV/Coca-Cola. And folks, if you haven't seen it yet, it is hilarious.
It is funny.
You know that part was very hard to do because I had to kind of like yell Marine-like into the face of Nimmo. It was hard to do because he's just such a good kid. But luckily my bad acting took over and I was able to do it.
Well, P.J. Conlon's made 2 starts for the Mets, both on the road. This is now his Citi Field debut.
Well, Conlon in both starts got off to a pretty good start, but then could not hold the teams down. Reds in his first start, Braves in his second.
Here's the thing. He didn't pitch particularly well in either of his starts, but the Mets won both the games.
That's right.
They have nearly as many wins in his starts as they do in DeGrom's.
I don't get it.
Jorge Alfaro leads off in the 8th inning.
Well, maybe Brian Kenny's right. Kill the win.
He pitched in Cincinnati in his debut on May 7th, and 3 weeks later in Atlanta in a doubleheader. Herky-jerky off-speed pitch in for a strike, 1-1. Tonight's starters brought to you by People's United Bank. Matchup of maiden voyages, and it went better for De Los Santos than it did for Gagno. Though Gagno did drive in a run. So if his only at bat, only plate appearance was a sacrifice fly, and he drove in a run, then he has no batting average.
Yeah.
He has an on-base percentage of 0. Right, because the sacrifice fly counts against you in on-base percentage, but he has that golden RBI. The wellspring of all life. I'm not getting a reaction out of him.
Does it one up
so badly?
Does it one up Ray Serge? Do you think? I know Ray's 1 for 1.
Yeah, 1 for 1 and 1-0. So you'd have to get a win.
Right.
Yeah. Down the right field side, Bautista watches that go out of play. Give it the courtesy leap.
Practicing for later.
Well, it's better than going through the bullpen door, which he's already experienced on this homestand. By the way, we need to do a little investigative reporting. I think this is something we should put Gelbs on.
How come we haven't done it already?
See if there's a latch on that door now.
No, it's Velcro. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
I mean, once it was left open at the start of a game, and once it was kicked open in the course of play. So I would think that that's down the right field line toward the corner, and that's a foul ball. It was barely missed. An extra base hit for Alfaro. I mean, that's something you would figure that stadium ops was all over, right? Once Bautista went through the door, that they would shore it up to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
I don't know. I'd give Danny Sessa a call. That's what I'd call.
You mean Kevin's friend?
Kevin's buddy.
Which trade was Danny from? Plumbers, carpenters, pipe fitters, electricians. Which side was he on?
I don't recall.
He was hilarious. If you weren't with us in the days leading up to the opening of Citi Field, Danny was the union member who provided periodic reports on the progress of Citi Field with his able buddy Kevin Burkhardt egging him on. 8th pitch coming to Alfaro, and he bloops one into shallow right, and that'll fall in for a base hit. So Alfaro on base for the 3rd time today, and the Phillies have their 11th hit. Now here's Franco, who's driven in 4 of the 7 Philly runs tonight. A 3-run homer in the 2nd, an RBI single in the 6th. 4 for 9 in the series, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs in the 3 games. He takes a fastball for a strike. Trevor Plouffe just called up today by the Phillies. Longtime Minnesota Twin, who was released this spring by the Rangers and then signed by the Phillies. He had been playing in AAA and just called up today. They sent Dylan Cousins down to make room.
Three-run shot. High changeup. 3-0 instantly.
Two to Franco. Got him on the inside corner for the first out.
Oh boy, I don't know if that was a strike. He's got a gripe.
Chief pitch cast says perfect.
Okay. We have more balls that are perfect on the corner on that pitch cast. Tom Seaver never threw that many pitches on the corner.
Well, here is Plouffe, his Phillies debut. 32 years old. He was a first-round pick by the Twins way back when. Spent 7 years with Minnesota, and then last year with Oakland and Tampa Bay. Phillies felt as though if they were going to be a contender, they needed more experience on their bench, and that's why Plouffe is here.
That's a good call for them. He's a guy with Brian Dozier in the infield, provided some real home run power for the Twins there for a couple of years.
And he's a guy who can play a lot of places.
Right.
You know, played mostly third base during his career with the Phillies, but he can play in the outfield, several infield positions. Alfaro at first with 1 out. And Plouffe takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1. Phillies didn't get him until late April, so felt as though he needed some minor league time. And he was swinging the bat well in AAA. And he drills it into left field. He's got a base hit in his first at bat as a Philly. So there's your veteran off the bench. Second hit of the inning, 12th of the night for the Phils.
Tried to throw really the same pitch he threw to Franco, down and in. This one was up.
Belt high. Just very comfortable swings.
So 2 aboard for Cesar Hernandez, who takes a changeup for a strike. Hernandez 0 for 4 tonight. Sent the ball to the outfield the last 3 times. Just 2 for 12 in this series. You don't see that from Hernandez very often. At least the Mets don't.
No.
Alfaro at second, Plouffe at first with 1 out. And Hernandez hits one toward the hole, cut off by Reyes, out at second. Relay is in time for the double play. Nicely done by Reyes on the backhand, and a good turn by Flores. Excuse me, Rosario, not Reyes. And the Mets turn the 6-4-3 double play to end the inning.
Beautiful double play.
Fios by Verizon. Big night for Ahmed Rosario with 2 triples amongst his 3 hits. Not a whole lot of other offense for the Mets.
Great play to end that last inning. Playing with a lot of energy tonight is Rosario.
Edinburgh Ramos will pitch the bottom of the 8th. Ramos pitched the first game of the doubleheader yesterday. Worked a 1-2-3 inning. Jose Bautista to lead off. A bloop single his last time up, 1 for 3, and he pops one foul. 0-1. Here's your Ford leaderboard. Since 2009, only 3 players with more home runs than Jose Bautista.
A teammate of his just above him for many of those years, Encarnacion.
Dom Smith is on deck, and then Wilmer Flores for the Mets in the 8th. And Bautista strikes out on a pitch in the dirt. 1 out. Tonight after the post game, it's Geico Sports Night. All the baseball action. Manny Machado playing against the Yankees, has a home run tonight. France in the World Cup final. Vive la France.
Yeah, beat Belgium, right? It's England and Croatia tomorrow. Come on, Gary, catch up on the World Cup.
I just caught you up. France is in the final.
There you go. He got to the chase.
Tom Smith trying to snap an 0 for 16 stretch. Dom played at both games of the doubleheader yesterday, went 0 for 7. And he hits one off the end of the bat on the changeup, and it's 0-2. Mark Leiter faced 2 batters in relief in the 7th, got them both out. And Ramos picking it up from there. One-two coming. And Smith pulls one down the line. That'll snap that 0 for 16. They'll take a hard turn, but hold on, not taking chances with this team down 4. And so Dom Smith has a pinch hit single.
Nicely done on the breaking ball here. Looked like he broke his bat towards the end. No, got it on the label.
Sure sounded like he broke it.
Sure sounded like he broke his right. Nice job by Williams cutting it off.
Anthony Swarzak up in the Mets bullpen. Wilmer Flores at the plate. Flores drove a double to right center his last time up. 1 for 2 tonight. 4 for 7 in the series with 3 extra base hits. Wilmer has been the hottest bat in the Mets lineup for the last couple of weeks, and Mickey Callaway was asked today about whether Wilmer could ever be an everyday player, and Mickey Callaway's response was that Wilmer is the kind of player who probably could play for 4 days and sit 1, play for 5 days and sit 1.
That's pretty much what Terry Collins said.
I mean, really the only time he was asked to play every day was in 2015 when he was playing shortstop every day for a large part of the season. And he just gets a piece of that with an emergency hack. Knocked down by Alfaro, 1-2. Mesoraco waits to hit next. Is there a way for Wilmer to pretend that every at bat is the 9th inning of the game's tied?
Yeah, right.
Boy, you're getting in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, he would. Funny thing is, somebody ran the numbers on Wilmer in 9th inning on the road situations where he could give the team the lead. They're terrible.
Yeah.
It's only at home in the 9th inning or later that he's there to be the hero.
What do you want it all? I mean, come on.
Just saying, it's another note on which Wilmer shows his devotion to the Mets. Pop up to shallow right, and Williams comes charging hard. And that's the second out. Williams looks exhausted.
He's been running all over the place, hasn't he? There's no limelight in the big hit in the 9th inning on the road. You know, the limelight comes with the walk-off.
No, but you can share it with your teammates.
Oh, okay.
That's huge.
It's true.
It's funny, now you have me thinking about that as Mesoraco sucks one out to left center. Back in the gap goes Herrera to get it. That retires the side. A hit and one left. On to the 9th. 7-3 Phillies. Lead. You know, from time to time we like to make sure that our fans are fully informed, and you know, the folks in the Mets media relations department put an enormous amount of hard work into putting together the Mets media guide every year. So we're going to start a new segment that we've never done before called Media Guide Musings, and we're going to turn to page 308 in the 2018 Mets media guide, and Alistair Cook Hernandez will take it away.
Joan Whitney Payson, the Whitney family heiress. Payson became the Mets' first owner when the franchise was formed in 1960, a trailblazer as the first woman to buy a Major League Baseball team. She also served as the Mets president from 1968 to 1975.
Base in left field for Hoskins, his third hit of the night.
Well, yesterday, Keith, you were talking a lot about his bat, and looked a little slow from Hoskins, but no, maybe running into that wall. He's had 3 hits since then.
So a runner at first and nobody out. Odubel Herrera coming up.
I will finish up on Miss Payson. Served as the Mets' first president from 68 to 75 and was the team's biggest fan. While a minority owner of the New York Giants, she voted against the team's move to San Francisco in 1957. You go, Joan. Right on. Charles Dillon Casey Stengel, manager 1962, 1965, vice president 1965 to 1975. I didn't know that. New York baseball institution and 7-time World Series winning manager, was lured out of retirement to become the Mets' first manager. Fans grew to love the Mets as Stengel's charismatic personality and winning observations offset the club's struggles in its infancy. At his 37 was the first Met number to be retired in 1965. Elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1966. You go, Casey.
Any more Hall of Famers you care to?
Oh, Gilbert Raymond Gill Hodges. Player 1962, 63, manager 68, 71. Inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame in 1982. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Why'd they wait so long?
That's a good question.
That is crazy. Managed the Miracle Mets to their first World Championship in 1969. His leadership transformed the franchise as players adopted his work ethic and were inspired by his dignity and integrity. Became a fan favorite in New York as an 8-time All-Star with the Brooklyn Dodgers. An original Met, he hit the first home run in team history. His 14 was the second Met number to be retired in 1973.
I think this is very well written. Continue.
George M. Weiss, president 1961, 1966, inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame in 1982. The Mets' first president who laid the foundation for the first 1969 World Series championship. He hired Casey Stengel to become the team's first manager. Under his leadership, the Mets signed and developed Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, and Tug McGraw. Won 7 World Series championships as general manager before joining the Mets.
Dom Smith catches the pop-up by Santana for the second out.
George was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1971. And we have William A. Shea, one of my favorites, inducted in 1983 into the Mets Hall of Fame. Prominent New York attorney who was the driving force in the effort to bring National League Baseball back to the city after the Dodgers and the Giants left for California in 1957. Spearheaded New York's baseball task force, whose proposed rival league forced Major League Baseball to grant the city an expansion franchise in 1960. Shea Stadium, home of the Mets, 1964 to 2008, was named in his honor.
Now, I haven't answered your question about Gil Hodges. The reason why he was not inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame until 1982 is that the Mets Hall of Fame didn't start until 1981.
Okay.
So the first 2 in were Mrs. Payson and Casey Stengel, and then the second year they inducted Gil.
That was the read.
I was very impressed. It was very stentorian. That was our first edition of Media Guide Musings.
Well, you know what I love about our things that we'll do in games is that how much time we'll spend preparing for it, getting ready for it, and practicing game.
Yes. What did I miss?
Did I note a tinge of envy there on your part, Ron, that you were not asked to deliver the opening salvo of Media Guide Musings?
I'm very happy to let Keith do it. He is the senior in this.
Oh, but you're on deck, my friend. You are on deck. We go to the bottom of the ninth, 7-3 Phillies.
Whew.
finish, and the Phillies hoping to finish with Tommy Hunter, who could not quite finish the second game yesterday.
Yeah, they had to have Arano come on and get the final strikeout. 34th game for Tommy Hunter, signed in the offseason.
Right back out there after pitching an inning and 2/3 last night. Jose Reyes will lead off the last of the ninth. Jose is 0 for 2 in a walk. He scored a run, and he hits one sharply into right field for a leadoff hit. So Reyes on base for the second straight time, and the Mets try and build something in the ninth.
First ball, fastball hitting. Why not?
Mets' 7th hit of the game. Now Ty Kelly is 0 for 3. And he goes after the first pitch, a cutter, and it's 0-1. Ahmed Rosario, who's working on a big night, is on deck. Mets were down in this game 7-1, scored 2 in the 7th, and now trying to come from far back in the 9th. And a cutter at the feet of Kelly, and it's 1-1. Double play ball. Hernandez to Kingery, and the 4-6-3 double play erases Reyes, and the Mets are down to their final out of the ninth. So here's Rosario, who's never had a 4-hit game in the major leagues. He's got a chance for one. Tripled in the 3rd, singled in the 5th, and tripled in the 7th. Both his triples went to left field. And Baseball Reference has data going back to 1987. Since 1987 at least, Rosario is the first ever Met to have 2 triples to left field. Just don't see too many triples hit to left.
Go get Doug Flynn now.
Yeah. Well, the left field corner is available this time because they're playing him very much to the opposite field. Once we're done here, Gary Apple and Nelson Figueroa will take over with WB Mason post-game live. We are happy to provide the bridge to their coverage. We are merely the setup man. They are the closer.
Yes.
Bouncing ball toward the middle. Kingery's got it, and that'll do it. The Phillies have taken 2 of 3 in this series. This will make it the 15th straight series that the Mets will not get a series win. Enyel De Los Santos gets the win in his major league debut. Drew Gagnon takes the loss in his debut as the Phillies go a dozen games over 500 by beating the Mets 7-3.
You know, the Mets haven't won a series since they took 3 games from the Diamondbacks in the middle of May, and it was just the battle between the 2 young pitchers making their debut, and De Los Santos was better.
And the only bright spot in tonight's ball game is the 3 for 4 by Rosario. The 2 triples Gary alluded to. Scored 2 runs, 3 of the 7 Met hits.
Game summary presented by FiOS by Verizon. De Los Santos, the 3rd major league debuting starter to beat the Mets this season, joining Mike Soroka and Pablo Lopez as he goes 6 1/3 for the win in his big league debut. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by FiOS, the best way to watch your Mets all season long. Get the 100% fiber optic network. Visit getfios.com. By your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. And by Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. Final score tonight, Phillies 7, Mets 3. Final game of the 4-game series tomorrow night. Mets will have their all-star Jacob deGrom on the mound against Vince Velasquez. Coverage begins at 6:30 tomorrow night right here on SNY. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Steve Gelbs, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason Post Game Live. Let's join Gary Apple and Nelson Figueroa in the studio. Guys.